Hey you guys, it's me Crystal and Happy New Year, Happy 2021. See that brand new year sun, smell that brand new year air. It's the same sun and the same air as yesterday. So today I wanted to do my December reading wrap up and my January TBR. And so these are the books that I read in December. I read 6 books, but as you can see, most of them were pretty short. And so I'm going to talk about them out of order, just because I want to get this one over with because I hated it. And this is The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is a graphic novel version of the movie. And I gave this 2 stars pretty much just because the artwork was well done. I thought the story was very poorly done. It didn't have any of the charm that the movie had, and it just felt kind of sloppy, like somebody took the story and they just kind of cut it up and took pieces out at random to make it shorter, and they didn't really think about what they were doing. That's what this feels like, because there are parts of the story that don't really make any sense, and I'm trying to figure out who the audience for this story is. If it's 7, then maybe that's fine, but anyway, most of the book looks like this, but one of the biggest problems I had with it is that they had quite a few pages where they had like this fancy font and these asides, and so you think since this is Disney and they own everything that maybe they're going to use song lyrics or poetry or at least something that has some kind of flow or rhythm to it, and instead it's like they took the songs, put them in a blender, and then plucked out random sentences and strung them together, and it really doesn't make any sense. And it has no rhythm whatsoever, and it's just kind of messy, and I don't know why this book has so many good reviews, because I thought this was trash, and I'm going to unhaul it and I don't want to talk about it anymore. So next we have Witches, The Absolutely True Tale of Disaster in Salem by Rosalind Skenizer. This is a nonfiction book for a middle grade audience put out by National Geographic, and I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was really well done. It's kind of dense. You know, it's a very short book, but there's a lot of information in here, and it's also illustrated in places. I'm not really sure what the illustrations, if they really added anything to the story, but I didn't mind them being there. So pretty much why I gave this 4 stars instead of 5, which is because I thought the narrative style was a little corny, which is probably to be expected if it's for a middle grade audience. And also, I didn't really learn anything new. I've done a lot of research on this, trying to figure out like why this happened. And this book mostly covers the how it happened, which I also knew from the research that I've done. So this goes from the very beginnings of like how the hysteria started and on through how it ended. My favorite part of this book is the very end, and this was kind of the information that I had never read before, is that they followed up on some of the people involved in the Salem witch trials and what happened to them in the years that followed, and it really drove it home that these were real people, you know, and this really happened. And so yes, it's interesting, but it's also kind of sad and disturbing. And yeah, so I thought this was really well done. It was really well organized. And they did have a small section, like a few pages, talking about some of the whys, you know, involved and how this could have happened. But they mostly focused on, you know, like the trial and things of that nature. But yeah, I thought this was good. So next we have 13 Ways of Looking at a Fat Girl by Mona Awad, and I have decided that Mona Awad is one of my new favorite authors. So this is a short contemporary novel. It's a collection of vignettes, which are snapshots of a particular point in time. And so there are 11 from the main character's point of view. Her name's Elizabeth, and there are 2 from 2 other people's points of view, one when she's younger and then one when she's older. And so this story goes from when she's a chubby teenager to an adult on a diet, and that diet develops into an eating disorder, and then at the end she gets on some kind of road to recovery. And I thought this was really, really good. I think Mona Awad is brilliant. It's dark humor, you know, and so it's like, it's not funny, but it is funny. And especially like the other 2 points of views that are these like guys that were part of her life. It was kind of, I don't know, sad and disturbing and just like wrong, but also like really hilarious. And I thought this was really well done. Like, I just found it interesting how like, just how people like see the world, and like how obsessed people are with like their appearance and like, you know, how she sees other people when she's fat and how she sees them, you know, while she's in the throes of her eating disorder, and how other people see her, you know, when she's fat and then like when she's in the middle of her eating disorder. And it's just like, it's so interesting to me. It's like, I don't know, there's like this psychological element that I'm just finding fascinating about this book and just her books in general. And I thought it was I just found it funny, kind of like funny in the way that life is, that people, we have our like quirks and we have our things that we're obsessed with. And I don't know, it was just like, I just thought it was so good. I give it 5 stars. I just think she's brilliant. Next, we have Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire. I also gave this book 5 stars. This is a fantasy book about this boarding school for people who have gone through portals and then they've come back to the real world and they're having a really hard time adjusting. And so the main character in this book, she went to an underworld portal where everything is very still, and you know, there are like these kind of lavish, decadent kind of like parties, and she really, really, really wants to go back. And I thought Shauna McGuire did like a really good job of like fleshing everybody out and showing like how hard it is to adjust when you've gone to a portal world and you come back, because some people were gone for like 4 years and then they come back and they're the same age they were when they left, and some people were gone for like 4 years and they come back and 4 years have passed and everyone in their family has moved on. And I'm like, that has to be like really hard. So you can like really feel how desperate some people were to get back, or how like forlorn people felt when they realized they couldn't go back. And I thought this was really good. At first, I didn't think I was going to like it because the main character was kind of stupid. And so she gets there and she's like, what's going on? And people explain it to her. And then she's like, I don't get it. So then they explain it to her again. And she's like, I don't get it. So they explain it to her again. And then she's still like, I don't think I get it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got it the first time. So I don't know why Shauna McGuire kept like telling us what was going on from all these different ways. I guess she just wanted us to get it, but like she did a really good job of explaining it the first time. So I kind of just didn't need her to keep going on and on. But then it's like all of a sudden the character stops being stupid and all of a sudden it's like she got in her sleep or something. And so then the story gets to move on and some crazy things are going on because some people are very, very, very desperate to get back and they think they found the way to get back. And I thought it was really good. I really loved the ending. I thought it was really good. And so I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of these books. And yeah, I hope this is a great introduction to like this world and this series. And yeah. So next I want to talk about The Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. This is adult sci-fi and I gave this 3 stars. So usually when I give a book 3 stars, it's for like 1 or 3 reasons. It's either because I thought the book was meh, or like it was good but it wasn't really for me, or it's because I liked the book but there are all these things I didn't like that kind of dragged it down for me. And this falls into the last category of I didn't like the book, but. So I thought this was really good. I thought the characters were really good. There were a lot of characters and I didn't care about all of them, but there were a couple of characters that I did really, really care about. And one of them I just thought was so precious. And so, you know, I got a little emotional, you know, when like that character's arc came to a completion at the end. But that's one of the problems I have with this book, was that every single character had like a full character arc. And it's like Christopher Paolini was very, very detailed. He left no stone unturned, no door unopened. You got everything, every single detail, which on one hand I appreciated because I wasn't lost at all. I knew exactly what was going on all the time, but it was kind of too much. It was too much information, and it's kind of like I feel like I could have still understood what was going on without you telling me every single little thing that's going on with everybody and everything all the time. Every time we went into battle, we got every single detail of that battle, and I'm discovering I don't actually like long action scenes, and it's like every single time they had to fight something, it went on for like pages. And I'm like, I'm getting so sick of this. I'm getting so sick of these people's lives being in danger. And also, like, you guys probably can't tell how long this book is because the pages are like really thin. And, you know, there are a lot of words on every single page. But this book is 872 pages long, but the last like 40 something pages are like an appendix, so I didn't read any of that because I almost cried tears of relief when I got to page 820 and saw that I only had 5 pages left instead of like 50. I was so ready for this book to be over. I wanted to know what happened because it was really interesting. And despite the fact that this book is so long, it's actually pretty fast paced. And you would think that after 800 something pages, this book is heavy. So you would think that after 800 something pages that, you know, everything would be wrapped up because this is a standalone. But no, we get to the very end of the book and there are like 3 threads that are still dangling, and I was so mad. And it's like, I did not read all this to have any threads dangling whatsoever, and I did not appreciate that because it's like he wrapped up everything but these few little dangly bits over there, and I didn't really like it. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that, and I didn't really like the ending either. It was a little weird and some weird things were happening, and I'm just like, I don't really like this. On the plus side, I feel like it raised my tolerance for sci-fi considerably, but on the other side, I feel like it kind of lowered my tolerance for long books, and I have a couple of long books coming up, you know, this year, and so I'm kind of nervous, but but yes, this is a very long book and it feels very long, and there's a lot going on, and he tells you absolutely everything. So if you like long drawn out action scenes where every single beat is hit, then this is the book for you. But I did think it was really good. I just didn't really enjoy all of it. And last, before we get to the TBR, I read Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is like an adult coming of age fantasy. I also gave this 3 stars, and I did really like this book. I thought it was really good, but I almost quit this book. And so I was about 55 pages in. I'm like, I can't stand this anymore. Like, nothing was happening, and the main character was not interesting. The dragon wasn't interesting, and I couldn't relate to anything. And I'm like, I need something to keep me going. I either need the characters, preferably the characters, to be interesting, the plot to be interesting, or in the absence of anything interesting happen, I need to at least be able to relate to people. And none of that was going on. It's like the dragon was like, instead of telling her he's a witch, he's just yelling at her, you need to do magic, you need to do magic, but he wouldn't tell her why. I'm like, she clearly doesn't know she's a witch. And then on the other side, she wasn't stupid, but she was like, I'm just a simple woodcutter's daughter, and I just want to hang out in the forest collecting berries all day. And I'm like, why? You're a witch. Like, I just did not understand. It was getting on my nerves, and I'm like, I need something to happen. I'm losing my mind. So I actually put this book down and decided I was going to read The Sleep in the Sea of Stars, and if I finished it early enough, I was going to try to finish this book before the end of the year. I decided I would give it one more chapter, and something finally happened. Something interesting finally happened between pages 55 and 60, and then all of a sudden, the main character stops being dragged along everywhere, and she starts showing some agency. She starts having a personality. She starts talking back and like showing a backbone, and the dragon stops yelling all the time. And so it's like, this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, like, on the surface, but the story is really about this evil wood. And so the characters are trying to keep the wood from like swallowing everything and everybody. And yeah, I thought it was really good after I got past first 60 pages. But some of the same problems I had with The Sleep in the Sea of Stars I had with this. There were some really long action scenes, and there were a lot of characters, and I did not care about all of those people, and I did not care about everything that was happening. I just kind of wanted her to get to the point. I'm like, what's going on with this woods? Can we not be over here? And I just don't care, you know? And also, it took a really long time, I feel like, to wrap the story. I believe it felt like it was a really long time, because this isn't a super long book, but it was like dense. And I feel like it's also like a little overwritten. Like, there was like some repetitiveness, and like there were several cases of, just to give you an example, where like Naomi Novik would say like, oh, somebody, you know, they reach out and turn the knob, they open the door. I'm like, I'm just gonna assume they open the door if the next thing they're doing is stepping through it. Like, you don't have to say they turn the knob, they open the door, they walk out. Like, you don't have to say every single step people are taking. It's driving me crazy a little bit. And so it made this book, I feel like, longer than it needed to be. But I was really happy with the ending. Everything got wrapped up. Everything got wrapped up. And I feel like, well, I wouldn't say every single thing got wrapped up, but it was wrapped up in a way that, you know, like things would continue to improve and everything. And I really appreciated that. And yeah, I thought this was really good. And I did really, really like this. It's just, it felt long. It was a little exhausting. And so it actually kind of prompted me to change my TBR because I had a couple books on my TBR that I thought might be similar to this one with like a lot of action scenes. And I'm like, I need a break. But yes, I thought this was good. And I'm really happy that I finally read it, and I'm looking forward to reading her other books now. And I'm so glad I liked this book because I have 2 more of her books. And I did like her and the dragon by the end. Like, he's not my favorite kind of male lead. You know, he's like a little grumpy, and I just didn't think that was cute. And also, he was like very condescending and like yelling at her and calling her an idiot a lot. And, you know, she got to the point where she was like, oh, I wish he was here calling me an idiot right now. And I'm like, I don't think that's cute. But I did kind of like him at the end. And like her as well. And yeah. So next we're going to get into my TBR. So I'm going to insert some footage of me picking the theme and my reaction to the books that I left on my TBR. I only swapped out 2 books, and I kept with the theme with the swapping that I did do, but it was just like I had too many YA books on the TBR, and I thought that they would be books that would have a lot of action in them. And also, I decided for some reason to put 10 books on my January TBR, so we'll see how that goes and if this was a really bad idea or not, and so maybe I'll make adjustments for next month. But yeah, so I'm gonna go get those books and insert the footage here, and then we're gonna talk about them. All right, past crystal hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a theme out of my theme jar, and depending on the theme and depending on my mood and depending on how long I want my TBR to be that month, I'm going to pick 3 to 7 books at random based on the theme, and the other slots are going to be filled with a book that are books that I really want to read right now, that I know I really want to read, or any rollover books I want to put on the next month's TBR or whatever. Also, most months I also want to pick a book out of the ebook jar, so I'm making sure I'm getting through my ebook TBR, and I also want to pick a book out of my graphic novel jar, so I can also get through that TBR. And then I don't have a lot of audiobooks, but if I can't settle on an audiobook for some reason, then I can pick out, you know, an audiobook at random to make my decision for me. All right, so let's just pick out a theme and get this over with, and hopefully I won't hate everything, because right now I'm hating everything. All right, what is this? Oh, okay. A book that's been on my shelf forever. Okay, there's a couple things that's really funny about this. One is that if there's any month that this is a really good time for me to pick this, it's January. Also, I wanted to pick this theme because I just thought this would be like a really good way to start the year off with. But now that I picked it and I know what books are in this category, I'm a little mad. I'm still a little mad that I decided to do this because I'm a little frustrated right now. But it'll be fun. It'll be super fun. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the graphic novel that I had in mind when I made this category. So I'm not going to pick from the graphic novel jar, but I already have 2 books I want to put on January's TBR that I have sitting on my desk already. So I'm going to get the graphic novel, and then I'm going to get these slips of paper, and then I'm going to fold all these slips of paper and put them in our very reflective, shiny, magical genie lamp, because I only have so many jars and they're all full. And I only have 1 basket, and I want to use this basket as like a previous TBR basket because one of my categories is a previous TBR category. All right, so these are my books that have been on my shelf forever. And also, I was thinking about rolling a winter spell over into January, and that's an ebook, so I'm not going to use this ebook jar this month either. And that's only going to leave 5 books, and there's quite a few slips of paper here. And boy, I'm filled with regret right now. I shouldn't be. This is really fun. Oh, it's funny. Uprooted is on here. Obviously, that's not going in the lamp. All right, so all of our slips of paper are folded. So in full disclosure, if I pick a YA book, out of this lamp, I'm going to reserve the right, depending on what it is, to just go ahead and put in the previous TBR basket. And that's because I already have 3 white books on my January TBR, and I know that I can only handle so many white books at one time before everyone starts getting on my nerves. All right, so I'm going to try to keep this in frame to keep myself honest. I'm still like really mad. Like really, really mad. What is this? Oh, this is a novella. Good. So this is Shadows. And I'll talk about everything else later. I'm just going to pull them out now. Next, we have... Oh my gosh, why? Oh no, oh no, oh no. Okay, you guys, I've had this book. How old is this book? How old am I? I've had this book for over a decade. And I tried to read it and it made no sense. And then I got one of my friends to spoil it for me. And I was like, okay, I think I can read the book now. But then I wasn't in the mood. Ooh, I'm nervous. Okay. So exciting. Okay, 2 more books. And what is this? No, not that. Oh, just so you know what I did. This is YA book. I'm like, there's enough YA. There's 4 now. That's enough. Okay, what is this? Oh, The Snow Garden. Yes, I've had this book a very long time as well. Okay, last book. I'm getting more excited now that I see what I have. What is this? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I've been wanting to read this book. I got this book on sale. It was like a $5 hardcover sale. And ooh, that's good. This is a good one. Okay. I feel so much better now the first one is over. I think I'll be better. Okay, so I'm going to put all the books I didn't pick in this basket. And then I'm going to gather all the books and then we're going to talk about them. All right, we have quite a stack of books here. So let me see if I can hold them up. Gosh, these are heavy. All right. Okay, I feel a lot better now that I have my books because one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was to help me get through some of these books that have been on my shelf for a long time. Or these books that I keep overlooking or keep getting, you know, sent to the bottom of my TBR because, you know, because I buy a new book or something. So that is all for the TBR section of the video. Hopefully I can splice this footage together into something digestible because on my end, it's a mess. But this is what the reading journal is looking like. So my calligraphy pens decided that they were going to run out of ink. And the calligraphy markers that I was using, the calligraphy pens don't have any ink in them right now. And I don't know where I put the ink, but I'll find it. So I just decided to just do the best I could, but then this pen I was using bled really badly, so I had to do like some patchwork on the second page, but here's my TBR page, and then these are the pages that I will fill out as I go through January, and there are 12 slots just in case for some reason I read all of these books plus some. And then at the end of the month, I will paste a picture of my favorite book here, that's the plan, and some notes about why it was my favorite read for the month. So in a random order, we have a Death Note. This is the Black Edition, which has volumes 1 and 2 in it. And this is a, I want to say maybe kind of supernaturally laced horror. And I'm going to show you the artwork. Every time I open this book, I see this thing. What is that? It is so creepy. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to this because it looks like and it sounds like it's really dark and fun. And yeah. But basically, if you don't know, this is about this kid who finds Death's notebook that Death just left lying around because he's trying to cause some mischief because he's Death. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I haven't seen the show yet because I wanted to at least read this before I watched it so I would know what was going on and could complain about it if I wanted to. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. And then next, even though I might regret it, I decided I'm going to try to roll over Winter Spell by Claire Legrand. This is a YA fantasy retelling of the Nutcracker, and this is about how far I am. I don't think I tried to read it very much at all in December, but I do think it's good so far. It was just like there's a lot of action scenes, and the characters were just getting on there just a little bit, and so I decided to take a break. And so I'm going to attempt to read this. So next we have Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is another YA fantasy, and I wanted to go ahead and put this on January's TBR because the show comes out in April, and I'm hoping that I can get the entire trilogy read before the show drops because that would make me happy, and I really want to watch the show as soon as it comes out, and I want to at least have this first book read, and so I wanted to go ahead and put it on this month's TBR. I'm not going to attempt to give a summary of what this book is about because I don't really know, but all I know is about this girl, and she's like a regular person, and then they find out she has these abilities, so then she becomes like a Grisha, which I think is some kind of soldier that has like extra abilities. That's all I think I know about this book, but I'm really looking forward to this. I've only read The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo, but I really loved it, and I really like her writing, so I'm looking forward to this. And then next I have an arc. I have The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick, and this comes out on the 19th. And I was really excited that I could get an arc for this book because sometimes high fantasy, I guess, kind of get on the fence about it because I don't read a lot of it. But it sounds really interesting. And so if I can remember, the reason why I wanted to read this book is it says that a con artist, a vigilante, and a crime lord like band together to like save the city of dreams from these nightmares that are infiltrating the city. And it sounds interesting. It's not the shortest book in the world. But hopefully it'll be like really fun. And it won't take me all month to read this because, like I said, this TBR is kind of long. And then we have Shadows by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is a prequel novella to the Lux series, and I don't really know what the Lux series is about because I haven't read it. But I think there are aliens in here, so I'm going to say this is either YA or kind of like new adult-ish fantasy, or sci-fi. I really don't know. But I'm excited this is on my TBR because I've been wanting to read one of her books. And I'm happy to have a short book on this month's TBR. And then next I have The Snow Garden by Christopher Rice. And I don't know what this book is about, and there is not a single like description or like blurb or whatever about what this book is about. I actually have no idea what I'm getting into, but I think based on the other book by him that I read that I'm going to assume that this is some kind of horror or some kind of like dark contemporary fantasy. I've had all of these books except for Shadow and Bone and The Mask of Mirrors for at least 3 or 4 years, but I've had this book longer than that. And then what's really funny is that I also picked out Merrick by Anne Rice. And if you don't know, Christopher Rice is Anne Rice's son. And so this book, I've had this book for a while. So yeah, it's not that long. It's kind of a tall book, but yeah, we'll see how this goes. But this has a witch in it. So I'm just going to say this is paranormal because it's Anne Rice. And next I have The Vatican Princess by C.W. Gointner, and this is a fictionalized version of the life of Lucrezia Borgia. I know a little bit about the Borgia family, and yeah, so I've been wanting to read this book for a while, and I thought this sounded really interesting. If you don't know, Lucrezia Borgia was the daughter of one of the popes. This is historical fiction. And according to the blurbs on the back, it's very well researched, so I'm looking forward to this. Then next we have The Time Weaver by Shauna Abe, and I'm just going to go ahead and say that this is like a dark fantasy romance because that's what it looks like from the cover. There is like a description, but I'm just going to go into it blind because I think it'll be more fun that way. But yeah, I don't really remember at this point what this book was about, but look at this cover. Doesn't this look good? This looks like it's good. And then last on the TBR, we have The Countess by Rebecca Johns. And this is a novelization of the life of Elizabeth Bathory, who's also known as the Blood Countess. And of course, you may or may not know, I had a small obsession with vampires for a large number of years. And so I know all about Elizabeth Bathory, so I've been wanting to read like a novel, this kind of surrounding that story. I don't think it's from her point of view. I think it's from like one of her handmaidens or something. But anyway, this is like historical fiction. It might be kind of like supernaturally laced historical fiction, but this is one of the books that I put on the TBR after I replaced one of the other books. And I think The Vatican Princess is the other book that I inserted in, but I won't know until I rewatch the footage. But anyway, I really want to read this. It's not that long. Yeah, but I'm hoping that I at least get these 2 books, Shadow and Bone, The Mask and Mirrors, and Death Note read. So those 5 books are going to be like my priority books for this TBR, because I've been wanting to read both of these books for a while. And if I can't get all of these books read, then these are the books that I want to make sure I get read, because I should at least be able to read these 5 books. But I think I can read about 7. So we'll see how I do, but I'm excited. We'll see how this goes. And yeah, let me know if you've read any of these books. And yeah, what book are you looking forward to reading this month? And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.